Good morning, YouTube. This video today is a quick video. I just wanted to talk a little bit about Article 13 and just give my voice to the fight to stop the censorship of the internet and information gathering. A little background on myself is that I am an EXJW YouTuber. I decided to start my channel talking about being an ex-Jehovah's Witness to reach out to people. However, I'm also a professional. I'm highly educated. I have a background in information technology as well as law. I'm also have education in human rights, mental health, and I've been working for about 25 years in the field. I have a background in law, as I said, so I've also worked for quite a bit in intellectual property, so I do understand about that. What I wanted to talk about is this dynamic time that we're living in, where we're living in a time where we're learning about information technology. And we're learning about the internet. We're learning about how people share information. And we're talking about intellectual property. We're talking about copyright. We're talking about people's right to share information. And what is the line of demarcation in information technology? What part is copyrighted and what part is fair use? So I want to talk just briefly about a mock jury that I was asked to be in a few years ago. I did sign an NDA, so I can only talk about one portion of this mock jury. I was paid for this, and it had to do with this actual topic. So one of the groups of people was Google, and I can't disclose the other party. However, the mock jury that I participated in, because of my field and because of my background, I was able to give some information about how we are going to live and how we are going to engage each other in this new form of exchanging ideas with information technology. And so while we were going through this mock jury, there were some things that people needed to understand. What is fair use? So I don't want to get into it, but there's a lot of things out there that people use that are not actually, stuff that you can trademark or things that you can say is your own intellectual property, and it is considered fair use. And there's a whole lot of laws behind what is considered fair use and what is considered something that a person can say, that's my intellectual property. You cannot use that without my permission. So what happened in this actual mock jury that I was a part of, and this had to do with information technology, and like I said, I can only talk about one of the parties, which was Google, is that I was the only person when we finally went to casting a vote that was arguing that actually it was fair use. And so we actually went back and forth for several hours, and I held my position because, again, being trained in law and also understanding information technology and also understanding the dynamics of an evolving backdrop of the internet and of human beings, and how this is a new fabric, this is a new regime, this is a new system that we're still learning and understanding. So for example, we own property, my mate and I. And so in terms of where the line of our property ends, there's another property on the other side of our home and our property, and it's shared. And that's called easement. So even though we both own property on that line, there's a shared use of it because it's considered common. The street in front of our house is fair use. That is actually not owned by any of us. Everyone can drive in the car and ride up and down the street. And then there's private streets. So again, I'm trying to use some real world examples outside of information technology. So then getting back to information technology, getting back to the actual mock jury case that I was a part of, is trying to show the statutes, trying to show for lack of not having to be there all night, is that there are things that are easements in the intellectual property, in cyberspace, and things that we've not really talked about, but there is statutes out there. It's just that people have to do the research. So I'm happy to report that I was able to turn around, I think it was about 9 people over to my side of thinking. And that's why when I saw an advertisement from, I think it was John Cedars, and then from YouTube about Article 13, that I wanted to just be in support of not overly monitoring the right of people to discuss certain things in criticism. It's okay to reference it. For example, if I'm writing a research paper, or I am doing something where I am referencing other people's work, isn't it okay for me to reference that particular work and not have to get a person's particular approval for it? That's what's called citations. That's what's called bibliographies for those that are going back in time. And then you make sure that you reference all of these people's particular research. And I want to continue this conversation with having a means to be able to criticize people that you don't agree with. For example, in the case of John Cedars, who is an EXJW researcher and likes to create rebuttals, he has to have access to that information in order to criticize it. The people that he's criticizing, are they actually going to agree to criticism? So as a free and open and fair society, we should allow for people to be able to give criticisms, whether it's good or bad, without necessarily getting the implicit approval, as long as they are referencing who they are, who they are addressing in their comments. And so that's the reason why we have to be careful by trying to overly moderate people in their freedom of speech. I understand the method and the rationale behind Article 13, but it's a very, very dangerous game that we have to be careful that we don't play, because you don't want to censor people's right to be critical. We are changing, we are evolving as a people. We are evolving in information technology. This is something that is near and dear to my heart. And without giving away what I actually do, because I do have a high profile position, I believe in the evolution of humans, and I believe in the evolution of sharing information. I believe in the evolution of the legalities of information technology. So I just want people to please write letters, please petition, please make sure that we are heard, because think about all of the information that you would have never found out about if it hadn't been for the freedom of exchange of information on vehicles like YouTube, vehicles like Patreon, vehicles like Reddit. It's important for us to not suppress that evolution and freedom of information. I hope everyone has a great morning, a great day, and thank you for tuning in. I wish you the best.